You're still watching Nigeria Decides on Plus TV Africa, and we all know that the elections is just coming up in about 48 hours.
That's true, 2 days.
And from the Court of Appeal in Sokoto that dismissed an appeal against the judgment of the Zamfara State High Court asking the Independent National Electoral Commission to recognize candidates of the All Progressives Congress for various offices in Zamfara State. And other stories, well, that formed in our conversation just before that short break. But this time around, we are looking at security deployment for the elections.
Yes, absolutely, because we know that the Nigerian police is out to take its place as the frontline force during this election, and they have come out boldly to say that the military won't be playing such a central role as we have seen in elections in the near past in Ekiti and Ogun State. And joining us now for a conversation on the security setup ahead of the elections, we have Babasola Adegbuyi, YPP gubernatorial candidate, Ogun State, joining us. He's coming back. He was here with us earlier. And we also had Raymond Nkannebe, legal practitioner, joining us again. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program at this time. Now we're talking about the security system, and we know that 300,000 as it is, police officers have been deployed for the election, and that appears huge. But then coverage is also another issue, and that's why we have seen militarization of the polity in some of the elections we've had that some have said is a litmus test to what we will see. But now we have a new police boss on the block. 300,000, how good is this? Starting with you, Babasola.
300,000, it all depends on the total number of polling units we have in the whole country. And for us to also determine if that is enough or sufficient for the election, what are the responsibilities of these, the police during the election? We need to know those ones. Number one, they are to protect the ballot papers. Number two, they are to protect the ad hoc staff of INEC. Number three, they are also to protect the electorate. The question now is, how many security men do we actually have in Nigeria for us to know if 300,000 is just part of a certain percentage of the number of security men we have in Nigeria? Then that's number one. Number two, for us to know if it is enough, other security agencies, are they also participating in this
yes,
election?
Other security agencies are participating because according to the National Commissioner with INEC, Festus Okoye, said that, for example, with the election will be utilizing the services of the Nigeria Air Force in lifting sensitive materials to various states and also lift within the states areas that are difficult to enter. And then for riverine areas, INEC would also have to hire individuals that will man gun boats to escort both sensitive materials and election personnel. So that obviously should be part of those who would be.
Well, if they are part of 300,000,
adding to the 300,000,
we are adding to 300,000. Yes. I think it will be enough because if we have the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, we have the road safety there, and we have this particular. I've forgotten this particular group too. That if we can have all of them added them to the 200,000, I think to an extent it will be enough.
Okay, definitely we have seen. I was a presiding officer during the election in 2015, and I know that in that polling unit there was only one policeman. Thankfully, there was no breakout of violence. But then I kept thinking, what if there had been a problem? Would he have been able to manage it? So do you think that with the number, the strength of the force, the security personnel that have been deployed, that we will have maybe more than one police officer manning a polling unit? And of course, we know, of course, they won't be armed at the polling units. That's another issue, because we know that violence is something that you cannot say when it will happen and how it will happen. So how would you react to this situation that we're in now?
Well, for me, at the last count, we have close to 200,000 polling units across the country. It should be between 195 to 198,000 polling units. So when you do the math, if you're working with 300,000 policemen, so that means scarcely two
to each polling unit.
Per each unit, you get. And then when you look at the corners of this country where you have that porous security-wise, can 2 persons actually man a particular polling unit? You understand? Like in flashpoint state like Rivers, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Plateau, Kano, that have been identified. So you have to send more men there. So that will now put pressure on the numbers for the other states. You understand? I understand the difficulty of the Nigerian police. We have scarcely 400,000.
350,000 actually.
So they have deployed at least almost 80% of you understand. So it goes to also speak to the paucity of in terms of numerically of members of the force. So I don't think the number is enough, and we don't have a figure for the NSDC. The road safety, we don't have a number to work with.
To support.
Yes, if we had like say 100,000 officers, we can work with that calculation, but we don't have a number. So,
but now in terms of using intelligence, because at the end of the day, we understand there are areas of flashpoints and calm zones, but don't you think that we also have to think of situations where likely there might be a breakout or individuals who think they want to perpetrate violence would now use the opportunity and say, well, since you're turning a blind eye to this area, we are going to do as much damage as possible. What do you think the security arrangement or the security body should be doing, especially in that line? Areas where we don't expect violence to break out, but what should be the backup plan, just in case?
Well, presently, like I always tell people when it comes to security, don't roll out anywhere. In security, you don't know who is planning for whom. But from what we have seen in the past few weeks during the campaign, for now we should be able to know where the state or the area that are more likely to be volatile during the election. So where we have 1 or 2 policemen guiding the polling unit, I'm sorry, they have.
But I'm even saying that if we are having so much of a concentration at the volatile areas or likely volatile areas, it isn't so smart or wise to turn a blind eye and say, well, we don't need so much of security personnel or coverage around the areas that are not expected to be violent. Because this is a keenly contested election and anything can happen.
And with all that we've been seeing and all of these court cases, pending judgments and protests,
Yes. Well, let me just try to amplify what you said. The numbers we are working with is very, very meager. And we can only leave the whole process to chance and hope that we will not have high case of violence across the polling unit.
Now, already 6 DIGs have also been deployed to the 6 geopolitical zones. What also do you expect from these DIGs? Because yes, they've said around their operational zones they are all committed and saying that they're going to be free, fair and whatever, beyond any politicking of the deployment of these DIGs to those areas. But what do you expect them, especially when it comes to delivering on their mandate and ensuring that every single police officer is neutral?
Well, the responsibility of the DIG is to give instruction. The DIG will not be outside there, or maybe once in a while, if he feels like, go out to see what is going on outside there. So what is expected of the DIG is to pass instruction down even to the least person in the police and inform them or instruct them on what to do. Mind you, the DIG is taking instruction from the INEC now, because INEC is now the boss from tomorrow and Saturday. So not the president. So the DIG is taking instruction from the INEC. So what is expected of that is that the DIG has to get information from INEC, which will be passed down to the least person in the area. So the DIG has a lot of job to do, but in most cases, like I said, they are not going to be outside there.
And what about the DIGs who would also coordinate the full strategic election security operational plan from the force headquarters as well?
Well, just the same thing. AIG is just the next person to DIG. They are not going to be outside there, although the AIG will be in different maybe zones or different states to coordinate the activities of the policemen in that particular area. You get those you will see outside there are from inspector down. downward. You not see the ASP upward outside there. If you see the ASP upward outside there, maybe they're just moving around the city or the town during the election. But those that will man the polling unit are the constable, the corporal, the sergeant.
Now, the UK government has expressed dismay, and it's saying that there are indications that the security forces will not be neutral ahead of the election. Now, is there something to go by? And what should the security system, starting with the IGP of police at this point, do to ensure that Nigerians are confident that the police is out there to protect the country and not the interest of anyone else? So what should the police do at this point? Because we need to be confident that they are there and that they will do the right thing and not necessarily banter to any party involved in the election. If this is coming from an international body, it's something that we can go by. So what should happen now?
Well, it's common knowledge that the neutrality of security agencies at elections has always been a sore point. You understand? And the last elections we've had just recently, Osun and Ekiti State, when you study the petitions, you hear allegations of police officers being used to intimidate voters and also to work in support of the certain political parties. So the observations of the international community is not misplaced. So the question then becomes, how do we make sure this doesn't repeat itself this time? Like I said before now, I want to give the new IG of police the benefit of the doubt. He has told Nigerians that he is a professional and that he's going to use this election to be the test of his professionalism. So I believe he should tell them that at elections, the role of the police is within the bounds of what is delineated in the Electoral Act. They have a very narrow role to play, provide just civil cover,
and
if somebody is caught flouting provisions of the law, pick them and prosecute them. You don't have to, you should be blind to any political considerations.